This video will mark the start of a slew of summer anime content and should be another thought-provoking video. You'll be seeing this video before any summertime rendering weekly review on Fridays or Saturdays, but I'm not sure when I'll have this one out yet. Obviously, if you're watching this, it doesn't matter. Like the content that I'm putting up? Definitely drop a sub or follow depending on where you're seeing this and help me to make more content like this, and this. The yearly YouTube sub goal is set to 500 this year, and the new long-term goal is 1,023 subscribers for Anime Boston 2023, where I will cosplay as Inori Yuzuriha each day. That includes wig, makeup, clothes, shoes, etc., and the best moments will be recorded and uploaded here. It's super out of my comfort range, but it's a way for me to say thank you and maybe even meet a few fans. Alright, on to the video. If you caught it in the few days it was up before YouTube took it down, I broke down what it means to be human in my Vivy video from December. That video is available again, by the way. Really, it all boils down to heart and having something that you can put that heart into. I also did a little digging into the future and reality of AI. Though that video won't be a precursor to this one, I would still recommend it. So, what does all of that have to do with today's video? Well, think about how Vivy taught us that you don't have to be human to be human. This video is going to be a little more broad, encompassing humanity as a whole this time, and breaking down some major themes of this movie. Expelled from Paradise, aka Rakuen Tsuihou. This movie is available on Netflix in both sub and dub. Last time I saw a subbed version of this movie, however, the subs didn't make a whole lot of sense. To better understand the thematic elements of this movie best, I would recommend you watch the English dub of this, which is incredibly solid and some of the best acting to come out of 2014.
It's a real shame. Looks like the antenna it uses for calculation backup is all exposed from over here.
Dingo!
Hurry up and finish it off, Angela!
Expelled from Paradise takes place after the nanohazard incident. Leaving much of Earth in ruins, most of humanity has abandoned the planet and opted for virtual bodies and lives inside of a cyber world known as Diva. After Diva's Central Council detects unauthorized access into the system, they are left with limited information. The hacker referred to themselves as Frontier Setter. In order to investigate the mysterious hacker's motives, System Security Third Officer Angela Bolzak is dispatched to the Earth's surface. As Angela adjusts to her new material body, she rendezvous with a local agent known as Dingo. But this new world is much larger than she realizes as the pair begin their investigation into Frontier Setter. Expelled from Paradise offers a different perspective on the concept of humanity. It's more than just a mecha. Its sequel source material accurately displays that. What makes us human? What are the repercussions and what can they teach us? The advantages? What can we learn from this movie? While Expelled from Paradise may provoke more questions than answers, the beauty of that is that we can sit here and discuss these questions. So, let's get started. This movie brilliantly portrays the qualities that make us human and the things we suffer through. Yes, suffer. Yet, at the same time, we are confronted with the reality that we aren't perfect and never will be. Angela Bolzak is the main protagonist of this movie, but her perception of Diva and the virtual life she previously led warps her own idea of humanity. A virtual world where you aren't bothered with concerns such as hunger and thirst, illness, it sounds nice. I'd love to live a life where I don't have to worry about feeling full or feeling useless when I'm sick or in pain, but what's the point of living a life if you can't experience being human? Food makes us happy, and when we quench our thirst, we feel more focused. When we get sick, we have to let someone else take care of us so we can recover quicker. That's what it means to be human, failure and incompletion. But what if we were to rid ourselves of our physical bodies? Yeah, reaching for subatomic particles with your fingers does sound really wild, but as Dingo states, feeling music in your bones is much more rewarding. Life is something we only get to try once. We give it all or nothing. Angela symbolizes a modern Eve, the ideal youth. She represents a metaphorical fountain of youth as she is sent to Earth in a physical body, casting aside her own ideal, her virtual life. She's never set foot on Earth, taken a breath, or understood exhaustion. Despite being knocked down time and time again, she rises up with the strength to move and makes a life for herself in the dusty post-apocalyptic world that Earth has become. Dingo teaches us that we shouldn't forsake the things that make us human. Just look at Frontier Setter. Its name in of itself implies setting new goals and reaching for greater heights. Frontier Setter was a simple AI that evolved to form its own level of awareness, setting out to explore the world around it. It can think, speak, and understand some concepts. While music doesn't make that list, the fact that Frontier Setter genuinely enjoys its time with Dingo and Angela proves that humanity is complex and all-encompassing. From Angela, we're able to witness another side to the argument of humanity and the things that make us human. Never feeling full or hungry, disease is non-existent, and every Diva citizen is given an allotted amount of memory, like the phone in your hand or the computer you're using. She reminds us there are two sides to every coin, but ultimately, fate decides what side the coin lands on. She's a horrible judge of character, but that also contributes to her own humanity and the fact that we're all a little different. Something else we're able to learn from Angela, really, the movie as a whole, is that not every story needs a knight in shining armor. You can be your own hero and make your own decisions. The future is so far away, and envisioning that never-ending story we all dream of can hurt, but not every story prospers. Ultimately, Angela does fail her mission to stop Frontier Setter, but in the process of discovering more about herself and those around her, she begins to connect the pieces of a puzzle that is humanity. After being archived Diva System memory, Angela comes to terms with herself. All she did was trade places, one rat race for another. It doesn't have to be all bad though. Angela came to Earth and in the process discovered that there is so much more to life left to explore. There is no competition for memory, but she will have to pull her weight in her new life. There's also the question of a higher power, and its representation. The Diva Security Council are portrayed as various mythological gods. Nowhere in the movie is this ever discussed or explained, but the fact of the matter is, Angela formed her own moral code without having to be influenced by an unseen force. This is a very important theme that easily gets overlooked. Living in a virtual society, there is no such thing as God or religion. Yet, the movie still subtly hints at the fact that Angela is, as stated earlier, a modern futuristic Eve. She defies her orders and is expelled from paradise, only to create a new one much more suited for herself and Dingo. Now I know how Adam and Eve felt when they were expelled from paradise. We laugh, cry, and feel emotion. That's part of what makes us human. We make our own decisions based upon our feelings and what we feel is right in our heart. Make no mistake, that oftentimes gets us into trouble. Perhaps humanity's greatest strength is its greatest weakness: heart. We deal with the repercussions of our actions. Every action bears a consequence. Just as Angela is sentenced to indefinite confinement, her influence on Dingo and Frontier Setter was infinitely more influential. She turns on her creator in a bold attempt to enact moral high ground, which, as described above, gets her into trouble. When Angela falls ill about halfway through the movie, she pays the price for being stubborn, another drawback of being human. However, she's able to repay Dingo's compassion in kind by accompanying him on Earth from then on, possibly even saving him from Diva's wrath as the movie approaches its climax. This is all totally new to her, and it's the very experience that sets her new life into motion. There will undoubtedly be hardship and moments of frustration, but being able to physically embrace that hardship and feel those emotions are what shape us as human. The same concept applies to Angela. We watch as she matures and becomes more complacent in her role. She refuses to let someone else command her. Her aiding and abetting a Frontier Setter teaches us that even if we don't agree with someone or something at its or their conception, we can still support them and help guide a noble cause down the right path. Expelled from Paradise has many themes that range from the fountain of youth to adolescence to more complex ideas such as morality and humanity. This movie teaches us that life is full of surprises and that the universe is a big place. But no matter how small we may feel, there is always someone there to cheer you on. Similarly, when we hit a rut, instead of fighting alone, just ask for help. Like Frontier Setter, there are far greater heights still yet to be achieved. There is always room for growth. Expelled from Paradise is a melting pot of humanity, not as a noun, but an adjective. Our lives become a culmination of a never-ending story that transcends both time and space. We seek gratification for ourselves, but we're indecisive, emotional, and, oftentimes, wrong. Our own morality gets us into trouble, but as long as we have faith in those we've given our trust to, we'll be okay in the end. No matter how many times we may feel that pain inside of us and those tears on our cheeks, we are still human. We can still envision that ray of hope, and deep inside of our hearts, we can still smile, regardless of a changing future. I think perhaps the most important thing this movie teaches us is that we only have one home, and we must protect it at all costs, or we really will be expelled from paradise.